Oh,
Classic.
One of those days. All right. Welcome, everybody, to a very special edition of the Wednesday Sammy's and Beer podcast. As we've said before, believe it or not, we don't get paid to do this. We do this out of the kindness of our own hearts, just for you, our listener.
Did you just say listener?
Yes,
Singular.
I did. So we appreciate you being here. Somebody has to work tomorrow. It's not me. I do have to work, but I work during the day. With me, as always, is Tomas Rincon.
Hey.
And we have a special guest this week with us, Kay.
Our resident spooky expert. I'm really excited to talk about some stuff and some things. Let's get going. I want everyone to keep an open mind today. Looking at you, Matt. Looking at you. An open mind. So let's get into it. We'll of course start with our shots because I need to wake up. Usually it's the opposite, but
You should snort some of that pre-workout behind you.
it's just G Fuel. And I need to go
Yeah,
to
you should
sleep in a
snort
few
some of it.
hours. Like I have to be asleep.
You should snort it. Those are so not good. Raw doggin' G Fuel.
This is gonna suck. It tasted like Tang.
Was it orange?
It is. I didn't even know.
Oh, weird.
It says stonks.
Well, yeah, they can't actually call it Tang.
Oh,
So-
that was a horrible decision. I'm gonna be fucked tomorrow. Oh well.
YOLO.
All right, you old ass man.
Did you know that that's in the dictionary now?
Is it? So is Muggle.
That's stupid.
You're stupid.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, you know what, Matt? Why don't you start us off
Why do we need the word muggle in the dictionary?
to describe the Muggles?
What are the muggles?
You clearly.
Everybody in the whole wide world.
Usually I side with Matt, but I'm with Thomas on this one.
Everybody. If you don't know, you don't know, Matt, and that's okay.
I'm so glad your internet broke up there just so everybody could see how stupid you were in slow motion. All right, so let's get started with some shots. Okay, we've switched it up and we used to do 2 shots. Now we just do 1. You can either do a shot for something or a shot against something. It is 100% your choice. But if you do a shot against something, at the end, you just have to tell them to go fuck themselves.
Fair enough.
Thomas, did you want me to go first?
No, I don't. I want to go last. I'm serious. I want to go last.
Okay, so I'm going first then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I at least want to go after you.
Wow. You understand that I said, do you want me to go first? And you said, no, I want to go last. Which is...
I'm sorry. I've got some stuff on my phone I got to deal with later. Ugh. You know...
Cool.
You know...
Good story. We're going to stick with the podcast, and I'm just going to take a shot here.
Okay. Sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
So my shot is going to go to the people that put their Christmas decorations up way too early. There's people that have them up after Halloween. And my shot's going to go to you because you know what? It takes a long time to put up Christmas decorations. And to only put them up for a month seems ludicrous. You spend 2 days putting them up to look at them for 3 weeks and then having to take them down right away. You put them up as soon as you want to, and you enjoy the shit out of those Christmas lights. Cheers to you.
Matt, clearly you don't know how long it takes to take down Christmas decorations. It's a minimum of 3 months. You got to leave them bitches up there for a while. In fact, I have neighbors that didn't have to put up Christmas decorations this year because they were never taken down.
Oh,
3 of them.
Mike.
But
my Christmas lights are on right now.
those people are really old. They're like in their 40s, so I figured like it's hard for them to like get to things and like get up there. So I get it.
Or
Help the elderly.
Or
help your neighbor.
do they maybe have like kids and like adult responsibilities,
No,
like to where they have to do
I just think
like
they're so old, like their frail bones can't get
That's
to
what
the,
it is.
Can't get to the lights.
real bones.
Frail
Not
bones.
that they just have, things that they have to do in their lives, like take care of children and, Okay, would you like to go next?
Sure. In keeping with the theme, I guess, my shot will be for all the recovering Christians and the closeted witches. So, cheers.
Recovering Christians? What's a recovering Christian?
That is, I like that. Keep going. Yes.
Like, what's a recovering Christian?
Oh, someone who grew up in the church, or at least was sold out for it for a good solid amount of time, and then kind of came to their senses about it. I spent a little bit of time in what you could arguably call kind of a cult, so might get into that later, though.
I love
We'll
it.
see where your questions go.
I don't know if we can touch on cult and not get in like deep.
You
into
It
can't
wasn't
tease
a
it.
it wasn't a legitimate cult. It's kind of playful when I call it that, but usually when I start describing that short 6 months of my life, people are like, "Were you in a cult?" So,
I mean, there's good money in cults. It's
There
better
is.
if you run them, but
There is. See, I know about this. I know about this point in her life because when I met Kay, she was a crazy Christian girl. Like, oof.
it was not much fun.
In fact, we'll get into how I met Kay, where the friendship started and all of that. We'll get into that after my shot. My shot 4 is actually 4K. Thanks for joining us. Happy to have you on. This one's for you. Thanks for being such a long-time listener, too. I know you've watched a few, probably almost our second biggest fan, only ever beaten by Brittany. So I appreciate it. So this one's for you.
cheers.
Cheers. And that's why I wanted to go after you. Oh, that feels good. Oh, I got some throat things going on and like the liquor. Oh, man.
I'm sure Gabe's got some stuff that would help you with your throat things.
Well, he's been taking a lot of zinc, so got to get that fluid
Yeah.
up. Fat loads, What is the
I do.
average milliliters per load, do you think?
I've honestly never once thought about that.
What do you think is the...
I don't like to think about anybody else shooting loads other than myself.
It's 5. 15 if they've been holding it for a few days. You're
So
welcome.
did you Google that?
Yeah, no,
You know
we've
what?
talked
I
about
don't
this
know.
at work. We've talked about...
He's done studies himself, and
I remember you talking about this actually.
Me and Gabe
I
have
do.
talked about it like extensively, and then we've talked about it at work because I brought it up and like taking supplements. You can take zinc to increase load capacity. You got to be hydrated. It's all about the prostate, really. Like it's not really your balls. It's more about your prostate and like the fluid. It's the difference between sperm and semen, and just all the stuff.
you know so much about dicks.
Almost as much as I know about cloacas.
Yeah, those are dicks.
Not
Like,
really.
I'm putting them. It's the male reproductive organ, correct?
It's both. I think they both have cloacas.
The fact that you don't know really bothers me
I
now.
really should figure out.
Like,
'Cause I'm making a lot of assumptions on bird sex.
you know what they say about assumptions? They make an asshole out of yourself.
I do that a lot. But so we're gonna get into it. Specifically, My first job growing up was at a movie theater. And that is where I got to meet the lovely Miss K about 10 years ago. Actually, probably about to be 11 years ago. It was in high school. We were young and dumb, and that was a horrible and great job at the same time. Free movies, so free dates, which was awesome, but people were fucking mean that popcorn cost $20 a bucket. Like, they were fucking mad as shit. I'm like, motherfucker, I can't control this shit. Do you want the popcorn or not? So that's where we met.
Did you guys do free refills?
Yes. If you got the large bucket, you got a free refill.
I wouldn't be mad then.
Really? And big bonus is that I was able to take the old popcorn home, and I gave it to my neighbor. Like a black trash bag full of popcorn.
Trash bags. Yeah, the big
Was
ones.
it your old neighbors that couldn't take down the Christmas trees?
No, he wasn't old yet. He was in his 30s. My other neighbor was 45, and man, she basically should have retired by then, you know.
Who are these old people that are accepting garbage bags full of popcorn from some random teenager next door?
Well, this is Nebraska. You know your neighbors. Like, you hang out. Like, you do stuff.
I don't care how well I know you. I'm not accepting a fucking trash bag of popcorn from you.
Actually, Kay, I don't know if you knew her. Kaylee Justice, that was her stepdad.
I do remember her.
Mm-hmm. That was her stepdad. Kaylee was my neighbor. That's how we met, because kids the same age, going to school together. Obby. And it's a military community, so everyone's pretty close because of that anyways. But I really want Kay to get into her, you know, your career path right now, your experiences. We really want to know about the cult. So why don't you take us from the beginning, Kay?
I've got questions. I still want to know what the recovering Christian thing is.
Okay, so I should have thought about all this before we actually sat down to do this, but
Well, if it's easier, we can like just have conversations and talk about it. Like we don't have to like, you don't have to like just
Not an
give us,
interview.
you don't have to just spit at us.
the bullet points. We'll do the bullet point summary of the things that you really need to know that's relevant. So my parents, my dad adhered to Christianity. My mother is devout Christian, very conservative, traditional Christianity.
And when you say Christianity, are you talking like Catholic or
evangelical? So we would evangelize. Like that was how I was raised.
what does evangelize mean? Like I'm honestly asking.
Oh, no worries.
Like-
It means we literally spend our time and efforts trying to get people to convert. Like we would go out and talk about Jesus with strangers or friends. Like I dragged a lot of my fellow high schoolers to church, whether they liked it or not. And, you know, looking back on that, like I'm not super proud of that. But at the time, like in our minds, it was either do this and bring them to Christ, or in the end, know that they're going to hell. And so that's the environment I was raised in. Was you should feel guilty for being human unless you have Jesus. And it's just, that goes into so many different facets of
It's a lot of put on
Life.
a kid.
yeah.
So you have you accepted then that like you're allowing all your friends to go to hell then?
No. Anymore, I do not believe in hell.
I do. We're here. We're here. I think that's what the Jews believe too, actually.
What?
That
we're in hell?
Yeah. Don't
I
quote
don't
me.
think that's what the Jews. I don't think that's what the Jews believe.
That's a whole nother can of worms.
What the Jews believe, it is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I actually, once I was probably about junior high age, I did not believe in anything. I was actually atheist. And I actually had this like crazy come to Jesus moment at a summer church camp. And so from that point, so going into my sophomore year, all the way through till about 2017, I was just gung-ho for Jesus. Bible thumper, obnoxious.
Which, I mean, those church camps are just conversion camps. Like, that's...
Oh, absolutely.
They isolate you from your family. like, they're fun.
In my case, it's good. But in my case, I mean, it wasn't that different. I mean, my mother is very vocal about her faith. And that's fine. It works for her. But as I... so this cult thing. So I graduated high school. I was actually done in 2013, so I had a little time before I went off to school. It wasn't really college, but Bellevue Christian Center. I don't know if I should name drop. Anyway.
All of them are going to be watching.
Well, I'm fucking tagging them in now.
Rude Awakening.
I'm tagging them. All of them.
Fuckers.
So they had this program called Bellevue Masters Commission, and Masters Commission is actually a national organization, I guess, that is specifically designed to educate and train new church leaders. So for me, graduating high school, my kind of chosen path was to either become a missionary or a Christian counselor. And so I spent 6 months, quite literally, we lived in apartments 50 feet from the front door of our church. I lived next door to my church. We were there 6 days a week, sun up to sundown, doing ministry, doing like the physical care of the church itself, a very large church in Omaha. And so I did youth ministry 2 times a week. We did Sunday church ministry as well, different roles. We would kind of switch around the church doing different tasks and taking care of the younger ones or whatever. We went on mission trips. We evangelized around Omaha. And there were some very strict rules. We were not allowed to date. We were not allowed to talk to the opposite gender. We could only spend time with our families on our 1 day off a week. We had to let people know where we were going and who we were with. Literally the first day I moved into the apartments and I was told I was no longer allowed to talk to my best friend who doesn't even live in Nebraska. So that was great. So when I say cult, I mean their rules were just very strict. And they would keep an eye on everybody.
Did they explain what was the reasoning behind why were you
temptation? Oh, also we were not allowed to listen to any music that was not instrumental or Christian.
I bet you couldn't play D&D.
Nope. Nope, couldn't do anything. And in a weird way, I'm kind of grateful for that time, if only because we did very in-depth Bible studies. We went more into historical context of Judaism and the Hebrews and all of that. I do have a very solid foundation on what the Christian beliefs are. We did study some apologetics, which is just the fancy word for defending the reasons for your faith, which now that I'm not just blindly following Christianity is very easy to dismantle. It makes it really easy to talk to Christians about why I changed. And that catalyst was actually the death of my foster sister. She died of a drug overdose. She was at this time, so she lived with us through my senior year, which was only the first semester. I was done in December. So she lived with us from that time for almost a year. And then she ended up getting kicked out for some poor decisions. And then a few months later, she kind of went off the deep end and was pulled into sex trafficking. was a really scary time, but she had this like come back to Jesus again moment. And so I was under the impression from a faith standpoint that she would come back to us, like that she would become part of our family again. And because that did not happen, and I wholeheartedly believe that that was a promise from God, it kind of destroyed my faith for a while. And it got me asking the right questions. And so I started looking outside of Christianity. And that's when I had my first mediumship session with somebody who is well known. And I'm actually not going to name drop for some other reasons, but I still have the recording, and it's all come to pass, and it's all been extremely accurate. And at this point, I can actually communicate with my foster sister. But she is in the middle of reincarnating right now, which I have a really cool story about how I know that now. So yeah, that's kind of what led me up to this point of being interested and accepting that these things are real. I had that personal connection of like, okay, this lady knows what she's talking about. Clearly there are gifts out there. There is no way she would have known any of this. It was too personal. It was too specific. It was too detailed. And so from then on, I started trusting that my empathy and these weird deja vu moments that I always had were in fact psychic gifts. And when I say gifts, I mean they're just natural inclinations. These are actually skills that anyone can use. They are not special. They are not unique. Anyone can develop them. I don't know what to add to that.
You look like the hamster's flying off the wheel right there, Matt. Like you're thinking.
I am. There was a lot of information dropped there, and a lot of good personal information, and I don't want to I definitely don't want to be rude.
I know,
but I also want to ask questions.
Absolutely. Your skepticism does not scare me. It does not offend me, because frankly I've been there.
So do you believe in God still?
Yes. Not necessarily the Christian God, not the Hebrew God. I don't think that they're the same.
The Christian and the Hebrew God. So you believe in a higher power. Let's just say it's that. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Isn't that labeled like agnostic? Isn't that what that means?
Agnostic.
I don't think do we need to label it?
Yeah, I guess we don't have to. Yeah.
I mean,
which, by the way, so to rewind, like let's dissect this piece by piece. The whole Christian indoctrination thing, it's absolutely a thing. 100%. Right? I've seen it growing up all over the place. You see articles about kids being taken to camps, like forced into manual labor, can't talk to your family. Very cult indoctrination-esque. So it's definitely a thing. There's obviously harsher and lighter versions of it.
Well, but I mean, if you're gonna go at the exact same time, if you want to go into like that kind of stuff, look at our public school system. How is that not cult indoctrination shit?
I just saw that.
We're teaching kids to be in a spot by the time the bell rings at 7:30, and they get to take lunch when the bell rings at 10:45 until we're indoctrinating like it was designed for them to be factory fucking workers.
Oh, yes. It's even better than that. They have to be immunized. They have to be accounted for within a certain number of days. They cannot be absent, or else CPS gets called. They have to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I mean, I guess they don't have to stand up and say it, but they have to be present for it.
If you're in Texas, you have to say this pledge to the Texas flag too.
I'm cool with the Pledge of Allegiance. That's the one thing, like, I think if you're going to be an American, I think that's the one thing that should unite us, is that everybody should be cool saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
So
I wouldn't mind starting the podcast with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I'll give a fuck.
Led by Thomas.
I'll do it right now. I'll give you the Airman's Creed too. You know, seen the Air Force song? No, so
you want me to stand up?
In Texas, also, you say a pledge to the Texas flag.
No, that's too far.
So when I
I'm cool
went
with
to
that.
school elsewhere, we all stood for the Pledge of Allegiance, and then I started saying the pledge to the Texas flag, and everyone was looking at me like, "What the fuck is wrong with you, dude?"
Who's this crazy Mexican?
Yeah, I was just like, "Oh, we don't do that." Sorry.
We hate to worship in the Alamo here.
Texas indoctrination starts young too. Damn it. Everything's indoctrination when you think about it, realistically. It's because we're all fucking animals. We're not fucking animals. We are animals. You know what I mean?
Just say, I have had sex with 0 animals. Just want that for the record. 0 is my number with animals.
Our brain didn't even go there, so thanks for that.
It
Well,
did
you
for
know.
him. I saw it. I saw it instantly.
Yes, we haven't all like
He
talked.
clarified for a
lately.
reason.
Oh yeah.
So
Yes.
cool. So I think we agree on a lot of things. I would be very interested to know more about like what you think of like the Old Testament and the Bible. Like you say you don't think that obviously the Hebrew Bible, that's their God that gave Moses the 10 commandments and things like that. So what do you think God is? Or what is God to you?
Us. There's a long answer and a short answer. The
Well,
short
we got
answer.
a minimum of 30 minutes here, so you take as long as you like.
From a metaphysical standpoint, I believe that so we all are mind, body, soul, and that piece of our soul is God. So, as you know, are you aware of like the chakra system at all?
I am, but
I'm not. Let's.
That's okay. To summarize, there are 7 main chakras. There's actually many more, but most people only deal with the main 7. So as you go up your chakra, your energy system, that's all they are, is centers of energy in the body. As you go up through your different energy centers, you end up vacating your body because your energy extends into your higher self or your multi-dimensional body. If you're talking string theory, which we don't have enough time for that, all of us have an energetic body that extends outside of our physical. That's science. There's magnetism and energy, and you can calculate that. But as you ascend through those different centers, we get closer back to source. And to me, source, God, whatever you want to call it, is the same thing. So to me, that is the singularity that created all. That is the energy that birthed the entire universe. We are all one. There's the theory of one, the law of one, whatever you want to call it. We are all different iterations of the same perfect wholeness. But because we have fragmented in order to experience and grow and experience individuality, we kind of lose that awareness of what that means. And so we have drawbacks, we have character flaws, we have traumas, we have blah, 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 blah. Separation is just the experience of going away from perfection. So that's, as we ascend, as you know, you always hear about like the Buddha ascending or Jesus ascending or whatever. They're just returning back to perfect wholeness. They're just closer to perfection than the rest of us for whatever reason. So that's kind of how I understand like people in relation to God. We're just fragments of the same God.
I've actually heard this before. I don't know where. Probably for
There
you,
is,
actually.
if you're interested in it, I can send you a link to Soul Hierarchies, Thomas, or both of you if you want. Found a pretty good explanation of it. I don't like the wording on all of it, but you're never going to find everything that's specific to your own understanding of it, so that's fine.
Okay. So then that brings up some questions for me, right? So I was raised, as most Mexicans are, to be Catholic. Cool. Awesome. You have popular media.
What a racist thing to say. Most Mexicans,
Yes.
you guys are all each individuals and you can make your own decisions. All Mexicans don't have to be Catholic.
I said most. So anyways, back to what I
Not
was
being
saying.
racist. Like, you don't get the Mexican vote.
I get the Mexican vote, actually, but so that goes into the thought, like the question of, okay, if this is what you believe, then what are like ghosts and demons in your belief system?
So, ghosts. You already know I feel a certain type of way about.
Well, the audience does, and I don't know if I do.
I'm trying to figure out how to explain it. So, of course, all of us see through the lens of our own experiences. In my experience, I have never experienced an actual ghost in the sense of how most people understand it as like the spirit of a dead person who is stuck on Earth. I have never experienced that. What I have
Because they're not real.
What I have experienced is the residual memories of people who have passed. And I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. I'm not saying that there aren't ghosts. But in my experience, it has been leftover energy. And for me, being a very clairvoyant person, clear-seeing person, I experience that as people's memories. So I have yet to encounter a ghost. Demons, I actually do not know where I stand on that. I have seen one. And I never want to see it again, and I don't want to develop more opinions about it because, frankly, that was the most terrifying moment of my life.
Which I think Matt can agree with you on that. It's like it's not something you really want to think or talk about, like just in case, you know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say just.
I think the more that you open up to the idea of them and talk about them and are curious about them, the more space they have to actually come into your life. And I just am not about that.
It's actually taught at the Catholic Church level too. Exactly that.
But if you're thinking of it that way, like, so then if I think about angels and, you know, open myself up to angels, does that mean that I'm gonna, you know, I mean, we're gonna have an angels in the outfield situation here where they're gonna help me hit home runs?
Well, if you look at the law of attraction, which is probably the most well-known metaphysical concept out there, the more you dwell on something, the more you focus on it, the more you feel a certain way about it, the more you are going to get that exact thing.
Are you going to get that exact thing, or do you think you're going to get that exact thing?
Is there a difference?
Oh, 100%. If I sit there and think about negative things, does that mean that negative things actually happen, or is it that I just perceive that negative things actually happen?
I would argue it is both, because your body does not know the difference between an imagined or fabricated feeling or emotion or memory, imagination, and something that is physically happening.
That I would 100% agree with you.
I would actually say medically that is 100% accurate. Happens all the time.
Your brain is, I mean, like if you think about it, like you could probably convince yourself to have a heart attack.
You can actually convince yourself that you're pregnant and give birth to fluid.
I've done it.
I could see it happening. Lots of fluid.
So that brings me, I don't know if I've shared the story with you yet, but so about 3 months ago-ish, so my entire life up until 3 months ago, literally from before I can remember till then, I have always had depression and anxiety. Bad enough to be medicated, psychologists, therapy, all that shit. I used to self-harm in high school and junior high. So it was very ingrained in me to be fearful and apologetic and timid. And so about 3 months ago, I was mid-panic attack, and I was at my favorite place at the park. And I probably looked like a freaking psychopath. I was walking around, like, luckily no one was really around, but I was like crying and kind of talking to myself, like, why do you feel this way? What is your problem? It's been years. What do you need right now? Why are you still struggling with this? And so from a chakra perspective, I was completely lit up and completely shut down. So 6 of my upper chakras were just blazingly open. My root was basically dead. Now, your root is your sense of stability, your sense of purpose, your sense of grounding. And so I started affirming all these fears and these issues that I've always had so the affirmations were, I am allowed to exist. I am allowed to feel. I'm allowed to have opinions. I'm allowed to share my thoughts. I am allowed to take up space. I don't have to apologize for any of these things. It's just part of being human. And so I kind of sat and was like, okay, I feel better. I'm not crying anymore. Let's just do a quick chakra alignment, which is basically just a visualization of opening those gates, those wheels, whatever you want to call them. They're just energy centers.
I tried to get a picture of it.
It doesn't work.
And so I started at the root, which is pretty normal. And instead of just moving on to the next one and opening it, moving to the next one and opening it, once I had the root comfortably going, I went to the next one. And instead of just leaving it as is, I cycled all that energy down through the root. And then I went up to the next one and cycled that energy down through the root. And so everything was looping through the root. And that was the first time in my life that I remember actually feeling safe. Like truly safe, truly at peace, not worried, looking over my shoulder, not wondering what someone's thinking about or if everyone's okay or whatever. And since then, I have not been depressed or anxious at all. Not a single day. I don't know why it worked. I kind of know why it worked, but to that degree, it was mind-blowing.
You know, that makes sense, because it was a few months ago that you started reaching out more in our servers and stuff, wanting to play games. And you typically only did that when you were in a good mood. Like, when you were feeling bad, like, we didn't hear from you for a while. I'd be like, hey, are you still alive? So that makes sense.
I tend to isolate. I don't really feel like I need to do that now. And since then, I've created some of the best friendships I've ever had. I really only have 2 close friends from before a few months ago. It's a whole new freaking world. Game changer.
Hell yeah. You can't argue with the results. I mean, you know, I'm happy you're happy.
That's a really good. I like your. I don't know if you just came up with the mantra, you know, of I'm allowed to exist. I'm allowed to. I like that. You know, it's good because I don't think people understand that they are allowed. Mm-hmm. And you know, a lot of times in society, we make people feel that they're not. You know, that you're not allowed to exist. You know. Well, you're not a productive member of society. You shouldn't be here. Well, productive is very relative these days, you know.
We weren't meant to be productive. We were meant to create. Productivity is a new post-industrialization concept. We used to be artisans. We used to grow shit.
I say we used to be fucking survivalists. That's all we had to do was not
Just
die.
make it to
You know,
30.
You know what I'm gonna do? You know what I'm gonna do today? I'm gonna fucking not die. I'm gonna eat, and I'm gonna fucking drink something, and I'm gonna figure out how I'm gonna eat and drink something tomorrow.
Yep.
That's what I'm doing today. And it was like, and it's been like that for fucking what 8,000-9,000 years.
I actually don't know how long mankind's been around.
Some early sayings about 22,000 years, I believe, is how long the human race has realistically been around. Obviously, they say that Jesus was 2023 years ago. But I mean, in the last 150 years now is when we went from not just living to survive.
Yeah.
Yep.
I kind of sometimes there's a lot of people out there that are still just in that struggle. You know what I mean?
True.
Just living to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's been ingrained in us for how long?
It's so ingrained in us, Matt, that my favorite kind of video game is a survival video
Survival
game.
games.
That's
Yeah.
my
We need to
favorite.
survive fucking zombies.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I played Green Hell, which is literally you're just stuck in the jungle and you got to make it work.
Yeah.
It's in there. It's like kids playing Minecraft. They yearn for the mines,
It's a meme. It's okay, Matt.
Glad I have someone who's a little bit on the younger side that gets all my references finally.
Oh, I'm glad you brought one of your friends.
I've had
Oh, I thought we were friends.
We are 100% friends.
I've had my friends on. I've had Egg.
The
And
one.
Daniel. I met Daniel first, so that counts for me.
It's really funny that you haven't mentioned Gabe. He's going to be so mad.
He
He's
hasn't been
probably
on yet.
listening on YouTube. Gabe's been on the podcast with us
Oh my
Yeah.
god, he has.
multiple times. Holy shit.
And you forgot him? Oh my god.
No, because I was probably hammered. Let's be honest.
That's fair.
The drinking has gone down quite a lot, but
So I want to ask you questions about your I don't mean this to be rude, but your psychic abilities or clairvoyancy, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to try and do it in the most respectful way I can. So explain to me how it works for you. Like what happens, what goes through your brain. How do you said it's something that can be taught. How does one learn such a skill?
Most people will tell you to meditate. I disagree. Most people cannot handle that anymore. I can barely handle that. So the best way to go about it, in my experience, has been driving, deep conversations, and cleaning. Because when you are doing those kind of mindless, only kind of engaged tasks, you go into this, is it theta state? I always get the states mixed up. There's different levels of mental activity. It is easier to receive information when you are in a deeper state. We're talking, so there's alpha, beta, theta. I forget the next one. So the closer you are to what would normally be your sleep state, so there's like your active and then there's sleep, but there's a level in between. I just can't think of the name right now.
I think it's called REM.
no, that's deep
No,
sleep.
that's your rapid eye movement.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, it's light sleep. My bad.
So when your brain is in that state, it is really easy to receive information. Most people don't realize that they are getting information though. So, when you're kind of just washing dishes or vacuuming and you're kind of just generally talking to yourself in your head, you're just kind of thinking about stuff. You're having conversations with your guides and your higher self. It's the same thing because we're all one, because we're all connected. Everything in the universe is connected. That's scientifically proven. We're all just energy. So I've kind of always been very intuitive, and I always knew that I was an empath. I could feel other people's emotions without being in the same room or having a clue, like a text or any, like there was never texts or phone calls or notes or anything. I would just know when someone was off or super excited or whatever. That's empathy. Like there's the stereotypical empathy of like, oh, I feel for you. That's compassion. You can have compassion for anyone. Empaths physically feel other people's emotions. So growing up, I shut down all of these psychic skills because I couldn't figure out where my emotions ended and other people's began. And so that's probably a large part of why I was so depressed growing up, is because I was just feeling everybody's feels. Public school will do that to you. So as I was done with high school and done with crazy church stuff, I started realizing like, oh, I'm in a bad mood because so-and-so is in a bad mood. I don't have a reason to be in a bad mood. What's that about? And so I started creating these energetic barriers, which is literally just setting the intention that my energy is my own, everyone else's is their own. And for me, because I'm a very visual person, I'm a visual learner, I need examples of things in front of my face in order to understand them. For me, that means putting up walls in my head to create that separation between people.
I wish you'd actually do it like in real person. Like if you get into somebody and they're in a bad mood and you just draw fucking a shield on a piece of paper and just hold it between you and be like, fuck you, keep that over there,
No,
motherfucker.
I can picture her with bricks and mortar. Just
It would be so convenient.
So would you call like, because I consider like one of the things in sales is you learn to be emotionally intelligent. You learn to pick up on the vibes of how somebody's feeling, how somebody's, you know, when you ask the right questions, you can understand what people are feeling without them saying those words.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you just have a high emotional intelligence, or is, you know, because there's plenty of people that have high emotional intelligence. They can walk into a room and they can, you know, just feel how the room is. And, you know, there's some people that have the ability to affect how a room feels, and they're able to change the energy in a room.
you do always brighten up a room when you walk in, Matt.
I do, you know, usually because I'm drunk. But there's some people, you know, there's some people that walk into a room and you're just like, holy shit, you just sucked all of the life out of this room.
Oh yeah, or yeah.
You know,
Yep. They exist for sure.
and so like, and that's where my question is, you know, is like, is it just an emotional intelligence, do you think, that you've become extremely aware of emotions and the power that they actually have? Like a lot of people don't understand the power that emotions have, like how your emotions can affect other people and affect yourself. I mean, and like even little things about yourself. Like I know when I get pissed off, I stop talking. Like I just don't talk anymore. And so, but then when I don't talk, I get more pissed off because I'm not talking. And so that's you know, and yeah, if that makes.
So that is a good point. Because of the way specifically I was raised, I became hypervigilant to people's feelings. I was constantly trying to protect everyone else's opinions and feelings and save them whatever face or spare them my problems or whatever. So there is a case to be made for hypervigilance. And
Were you a middle child?
I'm the oldest.
Okay.
But I mean, our middle child has a mental disability, and then our youngest is 8 years younger than me. So it's kind of a different dynamic, at least from like my friends, the examples I have in my life. But
The only reason, the big reason I ask is they say a lot of little middle children are very much people pleasers, and that's where they find their role. The oldest is, 100% me too. Like
Bad.
the oldest is the one that the parents are able to fuck up with, and they have like the strict boundaries, but they also have super high expectations. And like the youngest are usually the most successful because everybody's kind of like, hey, don't die and we win. And you're awesome. Like, you didn't die. We're good. Let's go. So, and the middle child is the one that, at least in my family, is the glue. And I 100% believe it's the truth in Thomas's family too. Thomas, being the middle child, is the glue that holds his family together.
I do my best.
I mean, Thomas is the glue that brought this Discord together. So
We've been going
Then
strong
it's
for
also
like
his
2
fault.
years.
It's also his fault that it's fallen apart then too. So.
A little bit. I do notice that we have played less games together since I started working more.
Yep.
It's my bad. It is what it is.
So I do want to expand on the psychic abilities, because empathy is just one aspect. So there are different senses. It pretty much follows your normal smell, taste, touch type of senses. So clairvoyance is your clear seeing, claircognizance is your clear knowing, clairaudience is your clear hearing. So there's other ones. I don't really deal with the other ones very much, for lack of interest mostly.
I think the worst one would probably be the like clear tasting. Like, I wouldn't want to taste what other people are tasting. That'd be fucking weird.
It is very odd. It's only happened like once or twice. Like
who's eating a fucking Sour Patch, motherfuckers?
No, that
One
you went
time-
a different route because I was like, "Who's eating ass?" That was what I first thought of. Who's
I
eating cheeks?
didn't want to go there. I didn't want to go there.
I was actually doing Reiki on a gal, and he doesn't know what Reiki is, does he?
And it's just
We got done talking about eating. Thomas said eating ass, and then you're like, I actually got done doing Reiki, and
He's
the fact that
old.
they were so close.
I was doing energy healing on a girl, and the whole time I kept smelling baby powder. I do not own baby powder. I do not use baby powder. I asked her afterward if she used baby powder, and she didn't. A couple days after the session, she messaged me and explained, so when you were smelling baby powder, that was my best friend's mom coming through. She used baby powder on everything, and she just died a week ago. I didn't know during the session. So she didn't have an answer as to why that made sense. Like, neither of us own baby powder, so why was that a thing? It's just a small little hint, a little reminder that came through. So there's all sorts of different ways of getting information. People get a little caught up, I guess, in clairvoyance because they think it's the coolest or most useful. I would actually
Thomas
argue
made
that
me watch Insidious, so I mean,
Insidious has a lot of really cool stuff in it, though.
it does.
does it?
It does. I actually just finished the
Mine-
last one.
Minus the demon up on top of the fucking house playing the music and sharpening his fucking fake claws was the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen in a fucking horror movie.
Darth Maul, baby. He's
I
back
w-
in the new one, too. He's back.
He was like fucking, I don't know, like Borderlands Darth Maul.
Like you ordered Darth Maul on Wish.
Yeah, like it was so stupid. Like, I'm just watching it, I'm like, this badass fucking demon or whatever the fuck he was has to sit up in his shop listening to 30s fucking music and sharpening his metal claws. Fuck off. Fuck you, Thomas.
You feel some sort of way about it. Which the new one is really good, I will admit.
Oh, is it?
It's
Oh,
really
okay.
good.
Oh,
I really
really good.
enjoyed it. Red Door?
If the only thing that's good about it was the main character, I do really like that guy who played who was like the clairvoyant in it or whatever.
Oh,
But there's so many fucking holes in that movie.
so they all get patched up in the next iterations, and then this one is all about him and his son, who's in college now. So
Oh, sweet.
it's, yeah,
Sounds like a movie I won't watch.
I'm gonna put it on your list. I'll put it on your list.
Sorry, Kay. I definitely did not mean to get away from, because I am very, very interested and skeptical of. Looks like you have a cat penis. So do you have, like, does this stuff just naturally just like happen all the time? Do you have to like focus, or is there a specific incense you have to burn to get it done?
It's
Can you do it? Can you do it over the internet? Could you do it for Thomas right now?
probably. I will say we can try it. I will say, because I
this.
know both of you, it is going to be harder for you to trust the information because I know both of you.
That's fair. She has an insight on it.
It is very hard to read people that you know because you are biased. I do not do readings for my family. I do not do it for my close friends.
Which do you? Okay, so we can caveat this. Say we have another episode, right? Because this is interesting, and this hour flew by. We can bring someone on that you wouldn't know, right? We have plenty of friends like that.
Sure. That's true. We could try to see if you can receive Reiki from here, because that would be an unbiased thing that I don't need to know anything about you for.
I'm gonna Reiki you, Thomas.
So we'll try this. Do we have a few minutes? Just a few minutes?
Oh yeah, I mean we have as much time as we want. Really, who's going to stop us? The government?
So
You're property of the government. You shouldn't say that. They can't stop me. They can stop you, though.
They can.
can I send it to both of you at the same time? I've tried to send it to two people at the same time. We're going to try it, though.
What are we sending?
Thomas, I already know you're aware enough, at the very least. You will feel it if it's going to come through. Matt, I'm going to need you to pretend for a moment that you actually believe in this.
Oh, I will 100% give everything I have. Like,
Okay. You don't have to show it on the camera, but just keep your palms up. I am going to send Reiki to both of your palms. Just so think, I'm not doing it right now. So just think about what your hands feel like right now. Be aware of the temperature of the room, just what your hands feel like. And then
my eyes closed.
No, it doesn't matter.
No, okay.
I'm doing it. I'm going full
Stop
beans.
closing your eyes.
I'm going full beans. I want it to work.
So just be aware of your natural state, what it feels like right now. I am going to start to send you Reiki in about 30 seconds, and just pay attention to the sensations in your hand. They should change.
For those of you listening at home, we're sitting quietly and waiting for our Reikis.
I'm going to start referring to it as Reikis.
Reiki.
Kay gave me the Reikis. I'm going to have to go see my doctor.
Now, are my hands warmer? Absolutely they are. However, is that a blood flow thing? Maybe.
Oh, put your hands down on top of your thighs so they're
Oh.
not up in the air.
Well, I needed the audience to see. Matt, do you feel any different?
I don't think so.
My hands are warmer for sure. Again, I don't know if that's because I was doing the thing, but it's for sure like a noticeable difference. Like it's warmer.
I'm going to switch it to just Thomas. It will. Well, I'm not going to give you ideas. Just tell me if it's any different in probably about 20 seconds.
So is the 20 seconds like the time it's going to take for your Reiki to travel to San Antonio?
It's pretty fast.
Like is there
It's
just like
more.
that?
It's more for me to do the process of directing it. It's more of an internal visualization that I have to kind of run through in order for it to go. It's instantaneous once it's going.
Am I allowed to talk during it? Does that like affect
Oh, yeah.
you or anything?
Yeah, no, that's
I don't want to be, like I don't want dead air,
No, you're fine.
for people listening, but I also, don't want to interrupt your thing and, have you not have Thomas get his Reiki touched.
It feels like someone's touching me, actually.
Can you?
Yeah, no, like in the palm of my,
What?
like I can't show you because now like my hands are covered.
Finger Thomas's Reiki.
Hey, yeah, kind of like that.
Thomas got fingered.
A little bit. I got palmed more.
So the reason the hands are probably the easiest point of contact, I don't know what else to call it, is because the whole body is covered in meridians. It's just a word of saying the energy flows follow a certain path between all the chakras.
Yeah, I've seen Star
I
Wars.
thought it was midichlorians. Midichlorians.
So
His
meridians are
midichlorian levels are off the chart.
some people feel tingling, some people feel heat, some people feel cold. The weirdest description I ever got of the energy going into somebody was she felt the sensation of, what was it? Chiffon, like freaking fabric. That was the weirdest description I've ever heard. But, oh, hi, Pippin.
So what was it that you just did? Just so
So, Reiki,
that
Is an
Reiki
energy
is what you
healing.
just did.
yes. So, Reiki
Okay.
is energy healing. So, a Reiki practitioner is just a conduit. We're just a faucet, so to speak. Once we turn on the Reiki or call it or channel it, it flows out the hands into the body. So when you do it over distance, what I'm doing visually in my head is I say the specific words of power, if you will, a specific intention or spell casting, whatever you want to call it. And I imagine, so like when I was doing this, I was imagining that this was Thomas's hand and this was the energy flowing out. It's an instantaneous thing because, again, we are all just energy. And so that energy can be directed even at a distance. It's just responding to willpower, essentially.
I think I'm a Reiki conduit for my wife.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's-
Please explain. please explain. Please.
I call on my energy and I shoot it forth.
Ew. It's like hearing. That's like someone talking about my parents doing it.
So you think of me and my wife as your
I
parents?
think of like older siblings more. Yeah.
So are you like upset if your brother gets laid?
No. Oh, I guess. I gotta really evaluate this relationship. I don't know what pocket I put you under, but you're in a pocket somewhere.
Like like there's zero part of me that's upset of thinking about you and your significant other.
Yeah, no, like that doesn't bother me. In
Touching-
fact, I usually like if you tell me anything, I'm like,
Yeah, I would hope that you and your significant other touching naughties wouldn't bother you.
talk about you.
I noticed that Pippin just decided it was time to sit on my lap.
I love him.
I was at work, so it was the first day I met a new client, and so for my day job, I do companion care. So we go into either nursing homes, assisted living, or people's actual family homes, and we help take care of elderly or hospice patients. It kind of depends on what their situation is. My new client is rapidly declining with a specific type of Alzheimer's. I can't think of the name. It was new to me when I met him. And they have 4 dogs.
Early onset.
Yes, but it's also just a specific type that attacks the central nervous system differently. I don't really know enough about it, to be honest, but
Yeah, nobody does. Even the doctors
honestly.
don't.
It's true. They have 4 dogs. Only one of them is friendly. 2 of them were outside. And the other unfriendly one basically just refuses to leave his side. It's actually really sweet. But so I'm in there and she's barking her freaking head off. She's pissed that I'm there. She's not attacking. She's just kind of grumpy, grumbling over in the corner. And so after probably about an hour of just waiting for her to calm down and it not working, I started sending her Reiki. And probably about 20 minutes in, she comes over and starts licking my hand. Just shocker, hand.
Do you send your Reiki to different places on dogs? Like,
Yeah,
do you send it
you
like behind
can-
the ears or like on the belly?
Look at
You can send it
Pippin.
anywhere.
Sorry. I'm sorry. It's a cat, dude. Like, I love him.
He's just a lump. You can, so Reiki is specifically intended to go into like injured spots on the body. Like if you blew out a knee at some point, Reiki's useful for helping kind of alleviate the general aches and pains for a while. But it's also designed to help activate or calm chakras. So every living being, including plants, have chakras. So directing Reiki into those energy centers is the whole point, is to help that energy move and not be stuck. Stuck energy is dis-ease, which turns into disease. And that's a whole other topic.
So hold on. Are the vegans full of shit then? Because if plants can do it, like,
Yeah, I would say if plants have chakras, like, fuck you. Why not eat deer?
There's a reason I'm not vegan. It's fine.
ooh,
Well, there's a reason that nobody should be vegan because it's stupid.
because it's dumb.
I go through bouts of vegetarianism, but it's not that I just don't want to eat animals. I just feel healthier sometimes, but I always end up going back. Like, it's not a permanent thing.
If anything, it's
Yeah,
more
that's
metal.
because fucking hamburger's delicious.
My hamburger is delicious. I could go for a hamburger now.
Right?
I think I'm making hamburgers for dinner tomorrow. 100%.
Perfect.
Oh,
The only way the only way the hamburger's not going to be delicious is if I was like, "Hey, this is a Pippin burger."
I'd try it. At least
I
once.
love it.
At least once. I've eaten a dog hamburger before. I've tried it.
Weird how we put those metaphysical barriers on like cuteness level of appropriate to eat.
It depends on how
Like-
hungry I am. Pippin, I
These
mean,
are
like
cute
2 weeks
animals.
in.
I was literally just lounging.
He's a good boy. We are at time though.
Yeah, we're overtime, but it was definitely well worth it going overtime
100%.
because this has been a fantastic conversation. I believe personally that we have we're Leonardo DiCaprio on the top of the Titanic right now saying I'm the king of the world and we haven't even hit the fucking iceberg yet. Like, there's a lot of conversation that I still would really enjoy to have.
And I think it's a good idea to do that.
Mainly, I there's a lot of things I'd like to dig in more with your beliefs. Not that I want to, like, I'm not trying to be insultive or anything like that, but I just am more curious about your thoughts and opinions versus what I've learned.
Yep.
And what I believe. So, yeah.
I think it's
It
a
was
good
fun.
conversation topic to keep going. We'll keep keep this going.
Even off the podcast, I'm always I live for this shit, so whenever.
I'm down. Maybe we'll talk about scheduling. We'll talk about scheduling.
Yeah.
Offline. I don't want to promise the viewer, anything.
All right. Well, we have had a very awesome time chatting with Kay today. Kay, we so much appreciate you taking the time and chatting with me. That's so weird how my microphone's like jumping up into, like, it's like a dick fucking flying at my mouth. It's fucking done it like twice now. We appreciate you stopping and taking the time to chat with us. Any final words, energy, anything that you'd like to put out there for everybody before we call it a night?
I am finalizing my website tomorrow, so shameless plug for the Soul Connection on all the social media platforms.
What's the top one? If we want to find you on social media, let's say somebody wants to get their Reiki fucking raked.
Go to Facebook, and I actually have. This is my logo.
The Soul Connection. And just for those, can you put it back up there just so I can read it out loud? So for those of us who can't spell, it is THE space SOUL space CONNECTION. And I read that in cursive, so fuck you, all the people that want to get rid of cursive, because it's an important skill to learn.
Truly.
Thank you so much. If you have questions, if you would like to get your Reiki raked, go to the Soul Connection on Facebook and you can get shit raked, and it's going to be a good time. And if worst case scenario, it's going to be at least a really good conversation with a really awesome person.
Which the Sammy's and Beer podcast on Facebook follows the Soul Connection. So you can use us as a way to get there.
Thomas, any final words from you for the people?
I have nothing today, believe it or not. This has been an experience, and I love it.
Yeah, this has been fantastic. We thank you so much for stopping by. I just have one final question for you. What is one doodle plus one doodle?
Toodaloo.